Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work. Hey, courageous school leaders. Excuse me, my throat is a little scratchy. I've been doing some traveling and on an airplane, on a train, and being around a bunch of people has my throat a little wonky right now. So I will be clearing my throat every now and again. So welcome everyone to Monday. Today, I want to continue the conversation with AI that we've been talking about for the past 4 episodes. And I want to talk about how, because we talked about, how to introduce it to your staff, the benefits of it, how to go about introducing it in a way that is not overwhelming to your staff, but is more like a pilot, right? And so today I want to begin the conversation around moving from pilot to a power move, right? Like, how are you leading AI and how can you lead AI integration with strategy and with strength? So today we're going to talk about how you can expand without burnout, right? How to scale your AI pilot without breaking your staff or making them feel overwhelmed. And so the goal for today is really to equip you with how to grow using AI with clarity, right? And without overwhelming your staff. So I'm Dr. Demia Thomas, coach, speaker, and currently serving as the lead of the AI Integration Task Force for Richmond Public Schools. So when I talk to you about AI and leadership, I'm not just sharing theory, I'm sharing what I'm building right now, right? With real teams, real schools, and real urgency. So you're not just here to check a box. Let's make sure we have that clear. You're here because you want to control your narrative. You want to lead with confidence, and you want to build a legacy. That matters. So today we're kicking off something critical: how to expand. Grab your clarity and confidence reflection guide. Tonight is where the pilot that we talked about for the last 4 episodes is now going to turn into progress. So let's get started. Why does expansion fail without strategy, right? Here's what I see happening very often. A few teachers try AI. It works. Administration gets excited, and then they push it school-wide way too fast, and the staff quietly shuts down, right? Because everyone is not as interested as the few that started. Why is this happening? Because scaling success doesn't mean scaling the same strategy. So those few teachers who tried it and they were successful with it doesn't mean that same way is going to be successful for the rest of your staff. You have to shift the support so that you can protect the culture of your building and re-clarify the purpose of using it, right? So before you expand, you need to ask yourself, what exactly are we expanding when it comes to AI? What pain points are we solving, right? What is the challenge that we're having as a school, as a team, a leadership team, teacher team? What pain point are we solving? And then the last thing to ask yourself before you expand, to help you plan, is what supports will teachers need to stay confident in learning this new terrain, AI terrain? So in your reflection guide, I need you to use the control your narrative section to answer. What do I want staff to believe about AI right now? Okay. What do I want staff to believe about AI right now? That's going to be, answer that in your control your narrative section of your reflection guide now. If that belief isn't clear when you answer that question, your strategy won't stick. Okay, we want to avoid that. Has to be clear. Now, scaling with intention is critical. but you can scale with intention and also not pressure. Okay. So let's take a look at it. You want to be able to expand your people before the tools, right? This is a mindset piece. You don't need any more tech. You don't need more intent. You need you need intentional leadership, right? Empower early adopters to mentor, right? We talked about this in the last 4 episodes. I believe it was episode 4, where we talked about it, where you actually get some early adopters who are willing to do it, but have them mentor their peers or co-lead PD or model best use cases, right? Why is this important? Because people trust people more than they do programs. So use that as your and leverage that. Another thing that you need to consider is you need to scale one workflow for instruction at a time. We need you to 10x one thing, okay? 10x it. Focus really hard on that one thing until it becomes unbelievably amazing and you're doing it like second nature. You don't even need to think about doing it. It just happens, or your staff just do it. So scale one workflow for instruction at a time. One. So choose an instructional workflow that teachers already do. Don't double this up with something new. Use the integrate AI with something that they already do. So it can show how AI can make it easier, right? Or have impact. So some examples would be drafting small group plans based on exit tickets, right? The data from exit tickets, or writing tailored feedback to students based on their writing, or modifying questions for different learning levels. So I talked about this too, right? Gave you some examples in the last series. Give staff time to practice, right? You have to give them time. They have to practice, they need to reflect, and they can adopt one shift before layering any more on top of this new learning with AI, right? So this keeps the focus on instruction, not technology, but the instructional piece that is so needed in the building. Another thing to consider is you need to anchor your expansion in a shared purpose. And what do I mean when I say that? I mean, don't stop at what do you wish you had more time for, right? Because that's an easy question. You need to go deeper. Ask questions like, what part of your day feels almost draining and why, right? Ask questions like, what student needs are you currently noticing but can't address right now? Ask a question like, what's something powerful that you used to do but no longer have the time or the space for it? Then collect all of those answers, right? Connect it to AI. Once you collect them, you have the conversation, you can do it as a group and jot it down, and you see the similarities across the responses. Connect those responses to those 3 questions to AI, right? It's about restoring the purpose. What is the purpose behind using it? Remember, it's not the technology, it's the purpose. So here, I need you to pause. Use your reflection guide, the section that says lead with confidence. I need you to open the guide and use that section, lead with confidence, to script out how you will reintroduce your why to staff. This is such the perfect time to do this because it's the end of the school year and you're planning for next year. And I guarantee you, AI is going to be in your face harder than it was this school year. Okay. Once you, excuse me, once you consider the expansion piece, right? And then you begin thinking about how you're going to scale with intention. with the one workflow at a time and anchoring and a shared purpose. Now you need to gather and protect your staff's energy, right? So strategy means absolutely nothing if you don't listen. A huge part of leadership is listening. You know this already, right? You're in it every single day. So feedback loops are your leadership superpower. It helps how you develop relationships with your staff, move the needle with instruction, understand what your staff need, right? So you can create intentional midpoint check-ins with your staff. Use team meetings or one-on-one coaching cycles to ask questions like, what's working better than expected in regard to AI, right? What's still unclear or slowing you down? What support would make this thing easier to keep going, right? Because it's about you supporting your staff and accepting it and using it, right? So these are not surface questions. They are signals for where to lead next. You are collecting data so that you can make an informed decision about what to do next. When you are gathering responses, remember your goal is to listen. Don't defend it. Don't defend AI or the use of it. Your goal is just to listen and collect that qualitative data, right? That I talk about all the time, especially in the former series and in many of my conversations, I talk about the importance of using qualitative data and how it speaks to the culture of your building. So don't defend AI, right? If someone doesn't like it, that's okay. Just listen, find out why. So when teachers give you feedback, they're offering trust. Receive it without any type of justification as to why something would work or doesn't work, okay? You can say something like, thank you for sharing this. Let me sit with this and come back with a plan, right? Or thank you for sharing this. Let me come up with some bullets to maybe see how I can better support you with this, right? But don't justify it. Just take it in, take the information back, and process it. That one sentence of you listening to them will change a lot, right? Because then they don't feel the pressure of like, my school leaders making me use AI. So you can use whichever AI tool you prefer, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, anyone that you prefer, and you can use it to find the themes and the reflections of all of your staff. Bam, qualitative data. Drop anonymous feedback into the tool. I'll say ChatGPT right now, and use the prompt that says, what tone, trends, and instructional needs are emerging from this feedback? That's a prompt that you would type in, right? Use this insight to drive to make sure that there's some visible adjustments in how you are beginning to integrate AI into your school. Then you can say in the prompt, when it gives you back information, you can say, based on what we've heard from you, here's how we're adjusting to staff, right? Because now you put the information in AI, that one prompt, it spit back out some information. You can give it more prompts to dig deeper, but I won't get into that now. That's a separate session. I won't get into how you can use more prompts or what prompts you can say, but start with that one prompt. What tone, trends, or instructional needs are emerging from this feedback, right? Get the information, process it, think about it, put in your own words, and then you can share with your staff about how you're going to make the adjustments, because now that kind of response builds long-term belief, right? And it protects your team's energy. Your staff feel like, wow, they are really listening to me. So let's talk about small wins. Small wins can become an institutional momentum for you, right? In the last series, we talked about how you celebrate small wins. Now it's time to leverage them. So turn your wins into models, like document workflows from your pilot teachers, turn them into a 5-minute how I use AI segment for a planning guide, build an internal toolkit that you and your staff can use to help support them in adopting and integrating AI into their work stream. One workflow. Okay. Turn wins into a leadership pathway. Why not? Identify those pilot teachers who are now ready to lead, right? They can lead PD, they can coach their peers, they can test next level tools, right? Honor the work that they put in, honor their impact, grow their influence. This is how you build your legacy, right? By multiplying leadership capacity, not just pushing technology or a tool, but you are encouraging and coaching your staff into leadership roles, right? Those wins now become your data stories, right? Connect those instructional shifts to teacher satisfaction and student impact. And now when you do this, you can share these insights with your leadership team, with your school-wide leadership team, with district leaders, right? So wins are not just moments, they are evidence. We are using evidence to document how AI and the integration of AI with your staff is actually helping move the needle. Okay? Use those data stories, using them, can help you expand your credibility and your belief around the importance of integrating AI, right? And it helps build a culture of we figure things out together, right? And that's what's needed in the school. We know the work is hard. You have to collaborate. And when you and building a culture that says we figure things out together is exactly where you need to be in order to begin this integration of AI in your building. Okay? So before I close out, I want to show you, just so that you can have a visual of how you can achieve successful AI integration. So we're starting, think about the workflow. Think about the flow of the conversation that I've just explained to you. So strategy development is critical. So you're going to develop a clear strategy for AI integration. That's the part where you are actually using your guide right now, right? That's the part I asked you to think about, the question, what do I want staff to believe about AI right now? Right? If you don't have a belief, your strategy isn't going to work, right? That has to be clear. That's here. The second step is empower leadership. So you're going to build this internal leadership by using the 1 or 2 teachers who are willing to actually get the work done. The third step is you're going to focus on the workflow. What does the workflow look like? Only one workflow, 10x that one workflow, right? Very specific to instruction. The fourth step is you're going to gather feedback, right? We need this data so that we can make informed decisions. So we're going to collect and analyze feedback. And then finally, leverage the wins so that you are building a culture of we do this together. Okay? Excuse me, I'm so sorry for coughing in your ear, but I did not want to skip today. So let's land this with some focus, okay? You're not scaling AI, you're scaling leadership clarity. So if you're expanding anything, make sure it's aligned to purpose. Make sure it honors your teacher's energy, and make sure it builds a system that lasts, which means slow is smooth and smooth is fast. 10x one workflow where people feel confident, get those wins, right? Now I need you to open your reflection guide. And I need you to answer these 3 questions. Ready? What is one workflow you will expand next or start with using AI when we're talking about integrating AI? What are 2 to 3 or who are the 2 to 3 internal leaders that will guide others? And the third question is, what's the belief that you want staff to carry through this process? So DM me the word scale to get the free AI expansion strategy template that I use with leaders. And don't forget, the AI Hacks for School Leaders Masterclass is on June 4th at 7 p.m. If you are interested in learning 3 different ways that you can use ChatGPT to help improve your workflow as a school leader, be in that room June 4th. Okay, I will put the link at the bottom so that you have that in the comments. Okay, and also the Stronger Schedule System is dropping the end of next week. So if you're leading school, if you're leading schedule revisions, master schedule revisions, and you're building, this is the moment to get clarity, right? You have templates and structure that you need to help you build a strong master schedule, right? I remember what it was like with Post-its all over the place. It was insane. So remember, leadership isn't about, it isn't about pushing more, right? It's about protecting belief. It's about building clarity, and it's about creating wins that last, right? So control your narrative, lead with confidence, and always lead beyond limits. I will see you next Monday. Have a fantastic evening.